Alright, today I'm going to be talking about language development in children. The book explains three different theories of language development that try to provide insight into how language is learned and or developed. So the first one is the learning theory approach. Skinner said that language is a learned skill that allows the basics, laws of reinforcement and conditioning to help a child learn how to develop a language. So if they would say a word that was similar to mom or dad, and the parent would pick up on that and give them positive reinforcement in the form of smiling or just any kind of positive reinforcement, the child would continue to grow and prosper from that and eventually learn how to speak a language fluently. The nativist approach is the second approach. This one was championed by Noam Chomsky, and he said that language is driven by a genetically determined innate machine, and it uses a basis of a universal grammar structure that it uses to conduct speech, and uses a language acquisition system device that allows to have a self-learning and set strategy system for children to learn a language. So it's pretty much just like a basic computer framework wiring you to learn a language all by yourself. The third one is kind of a combination of both of them. It is the interactionist perspective. It states that language is a combination of both genetic and environmental factors, and it accepts just a multitude of innate factors that allows for language development and teaching. However, social interaction is still the most important factor in learning a language. An article by E.P. Pongello tries to find out what affects language development in children, and he conducted a longitudinal study between, I think about 400 kids, and he tested three different categories, which were socioeconomic status, race, and parental factors. The first was the socioeconomic status, and he found that this was directly related to speech development in children. The lower the class, the lower the maternal depression states were, and the lower the mother-child interaction was. So it produced both lower cognitive and language development skills. However, no specific mechanisms were found that directly and have a connection to lower socioeconomic status and child language. But the second is race, and he found it to play a role in language development. For example, families were studied in a joint book reading session, so the parent would read to the child, and they found that on average African American mothers didn't elicit a response from a child when reading, so they would just read them the book and expect the child just to listen along, while European mothers asked them yes, no, or oh, what's going on in this book kind of questions, and they prompted responses and different behaviors from the child that connected them to reading and speaking language. So it's showed that at least the African American race has a slower language development rate than do European Americans. But the article did talk about a little bit of discriminatory factors in that case, as more often than not the population of lower socioeconomic status is African American, so they had the increased mother anxiety rate and stress levels of a lower socioeconomic class. So it could be the same link, but on average they found that race did have an impact on language development. And the final factor is the parenting style interactions, and a discussion of maternal sensitivity versus negative intrusive parenting both yield pretty predictable results. The maternal sensitivity was shown to produce a large growth in both receptive and expressive language development. The style is proven to be positively influencing regardless of status or race, and it's most prevalent during the the sensitive period of language development, which is from 18 to 36 months. So if you're most helpful and most responsible for your child during that period, they're more likely than not going to excel in language development. On the other hand, the increased negative intrusive behavior was directly related with a decrease in receptive language rate growth, and the depressive effect that it has on a child completely affects the growth of expressive language. The research findings see a connection between race. This is with European American families, where if for some reason the caregiver does not support a child's language needs in any way, it's probably going to be compromised, and it's more often than not going to be an extremely detrimental effect on the child. So the lower the rates of intrusive behavior, the higher the growth rate of language development is going to be. However, it was interesting to note that African American children had a very negligible effect in growth rate when presented with negative intrusive behavior. The reasoning could be due to a plethora of cultural differences in parenting styles or family values. But that was a little bit about how language development is affected and how it happens in children, and thank you for listening.